Good morning and welcome to the Deschutes County Board of Commissioners meeting. Good morning, everyone. I might have to use my gavel. Good morning. Welcome to the Deschutes County Board of Commissioners meeting for 9 a.m. Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Isn't this supposed to say pledge under call to order?
Thank you very much for joining us. At this time, citizen input for any items not on the agenda. Is there anyone remote with a raised hand feature? Okay, seeing none at this time. Commissioner announcements. Anything today?
A couple things from last Friday to share. First off, I'm a local veterans suicide prevention group held an event called Battlegrounds and Backroads. Shared a really great documentary that was filmed in Oregon, talking to a number of Oregon veterans, and there's ongoing efforts around this. There's a little QR code on here. Picked up an extra copy of the card for others to take a look at. There was significant mention during the Q&A of behavioral health services from the county. With the county program was called out, and Debbie Naradka was mentioned. So good for us to be aware that there are people who feel that the services that the county provides in this area are really important, and to make sure that we keep those going. I also on Friday in the midday attended a workshop on modular housing that was supported by the state of Oregon's Modular Housing Development Fund. Essentially, a bunch of architects, builders, land developers were provided funding by this program within OHCS to explore the role that modular housing can play in meeting our housing needs, particularly our workforce and affordable housing needs. They have developed a bunch of template designs that are free for people to use, and not only do they have these free template designs, but they also have manufacturing capacity connected to that. So these types of modular homes can be built in a factory, in a warehouse, put on a flatbed truck, and then plunked down on a foundation somewhere, cutting down on construction time and potentially also cutting down on costs, depending on how much economy of scale you get with the number of units that are produced. There's one of the notable projects that this group have designed that I've seen is the I'm forgetting what it's called, but there's essentially if you drive over to Eugene from here along the Mackenzie Highway, right around Blue River, there's a set of small 20, 30, 40 homes that were put together, and essentially are serving as wildfire disaster recovery, workforce housing in the Mackenzie Canyon right now. And so that's just one example. There's all kinds of modular designs, two-story duplexes, units that are individual units that are 2 stories that can be put next to each other to make duplexes or quadplexes, things like that. They also had I guess you'd call it like a they didn't call it a rural ADU design, but they had a 750, 800 square foot model that would fit perfectly within our rural ADU, um, our rural ADU regulations at this point. So, that's something that's available to people, a template design. And to the extent that these are modular units that are built, in a warehouse or factory and then brought someplace, it actually changes the permitting requirements. So many of the local building requirements, building inspection requirements that are associated with stick-built housing would be bypassed because these have already been approved by the state, and then they're inspected in the factory before they're put on a flatbed truck and moved to wherever they're going to be placed. So you'd still have inspections around the foundation, things like that, but a lot of the rest of the local land use regulatory process would be expedited. So that's interesting. I'm going to share that.
Great.
That's what I got.
Thank you very much.
I actually was at that veterans documentary also. And I believe one of the reasons why they did such in-depth work in our state is because our veterans have a higher percentage of suicide than I don't believe they were at the top, but definitely I want to commend what our Veterans Village is doing at this time. The fact that we've had over 40 veterans, homeless veterans that have successfully transitioned to housing from our Veterans Village. I was talking to several people there and I said, gee, if you get an opportunity, if you can make an appointment and go see our Veterans Village, it's really to be commended. So, yeah, it was, saw a lot of local people and met people from all over the country that were at the event. You really need to, if you can get the code, take a look. They would love to hear from the community as far as improving what they're doing, but it's really compelling. I always, it's always very traumatic when we lose another veteran, and a lot of times you won't see it as a suicide. It will just happen. So know that probably the numbers are really higher than what are projected.
Thank you very much. At this time, consent agenda. We have a whole bunch of items on here, but
I just would love to pull item number 6, just so it would get more attention in our community. I know we're helping it, but it's really a phenomenal program. And that's why I would like to pull it.
okay. So is that a motion for consent agenda minus item 6?
Yes, that's a motion.
Second. Moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
Commissioner Day?
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. So item number 6, approval of an amendment to the agreement with Central Oregon Guardian Assistance to extend the term and provide more funding in fiscal year 2026. I don't know that anybody's here to speak on that subject, but go ahead.
No.
Yeah.
I just wanted to acknowledge that our health department is funding this program with another 50,000. They were looking for 100,000 to continue it. The amazing fact of the program is they've helped 42 people already. And of those 42, 75% were homeless or on high risk. So Janet Basney is the executive director. They're doing an awesome job. This program took a couple years to get set up, and I called Holly on it. And she goes, "Oh, Patty, yes, we've allocated another 50,000." So that answered half of my prayer, but there's still 50,000 out there.
Looks like
So-
Shannon may be able to join us. Just explain.
Good, Shannon. Thank you.
Good morning. I don't have anything additional to add, Patty, but just that we're super supportive of this program and the benefit that they have to the county and to our clients. We did have this money earmarked. We're just giving it a little bit early and to help with the sustainability of the program.
I know. I hate to lose it because it's, they're doing such amazing work. So thanks, Shannon.
Absolutely.
Shannon, so this says $50,000 in behavior general health funds. What where does that, what's the origin of that fund? Like
Yeah,
where do
those
those
are
come from?
funds that we had earmarked, and they are earmarked. I'd have to get back to you on the exact line item for it, but they're recurring funds that we have. Is Holly in the room? She might actually, if she's there, she might have the exact one, but if she's not, that's okay. I'll get you that specific line item out of there, but this was not anything that we had to take a hit anywhere else within our funding for. We had it aligned in this year's budget.
I mean, yeah, I don't need to know the exact fund source, but I'm just curious, are these federal dollars, state dollars, or,
These will be state dollars.
okay, great. Thank you.
So just back to the basics, Oregon Guardian Assistance Program, pro bono and low-cost guardian services to assist responding to the needs of persons experiencing health-related crisis, including this population are veterans, elderly, indigent, and civil commitment population. So we did hear about this in a work session a year and a half ago or so, maybe more. The fact that, yeah, they're really just hand-holding some folks that are in a very complicated, medically vulnerable situation and trying to get them stabilized to make the best choices for themselves in their estate.
Yeah, I'm really glad there's an organization in our community providing these services. I do recall back in 2023, I think it was a general fund allocation that we made at the county level to support the startup of COGAP. And it's really great to see the behavioral health division carrying that burden going forward and supporting this continued work. Thank you.
Is there a
Yeah, and I'll
motion?
just clarify, Commissioner Chang, these are actually, I misspoke, these are coming out of Central Oregon Health Council QIM dollars. So our quality improvement metrics. So just wanted to clarify that. So I pulled up the document.
So it was essentially Medicaid dollars in origin? Okay.
Correct.
Yes, it was the dream of several women, and they did give us a presentation a couple of years ago. So glad to see that it's doing an amazing job. Move approval of document number 2025-942, amending document 2424-772, an agreement with the Central Oregon Guardian Assistance.
Second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
Commissioner Chang?
Yes.
And Chair will vote yes. Great. Thank you. Good discussion.
Thank
This
you,
time-
Commissioners.
Action items number 10, authorization to apply for a Central Oregon Criminal Justice Commission jail-based medications for opioid use disorder grant. Got the whole thing out there.
Excuse me. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Captain Michael Schultz, the jail commander for the Deschutes County Sheriff's Office. And today we're asking to apply for that grant you just described, or just the name of it. And that money has come from the state of Oregon to jails for medicated assistant treatment. As you recall, back in 2023, we developed a great partnership with Ideal Option to allow them to take a grant from the state of Oregon to come into our jail and produce this program for us. This money is now out there, and we're going to be asking for it, and hopefully receive it from the state to assist us in that program. And as you know, cost of medication, staffing have all risen, and hopefully this will be another added resource to us, so that when we have people on transition coming from our jail into the public and we need to give them additional resources, we can use that money for that. And of course, as our medical providers indicate somebody needs a certain type of medication, whether it's Suboxone, Sublocade, they can provide that one. And those drugs are at different costs. But I think the key is to provide the best medication for that person to become successful. And I'm joined here with, of course, our medical director, Eden Aldridge, who manages that program for us. And here on my left is Jessica Vanderpool, who manages the money that we make sure we're doing this fiscally responsible.
Mhm.
Before I turn it over to them for questions, I want to reiterate in jails, as I grew up through the jails and in law enforcement, jails have always been known as just a holding center. If you know, our length of stay is anywhere from 12 to 14 days, the average length of stay. Uh, we've always just been able to warehouse people and move them through. Jails are now in Oregon and hopefully across the United States, but I know in Oregon, we're trying to make this a little better place. So when they do get released, they're in a little better spot so we don't get that revolving door. And I think we've done a great job. Our jail capacity is at 362 beds, but we're operating from 200 to 50 beds per day. So we're keeping our numbers low. And I think the key is to provide those little bit of programs so that the individual, when they leave, they have a better shot of getting through some of these addictions. As you know, 90% of our population, drug addicted or mental health or both. We target those people so that we can make the community safer. So we're excited about this and hopefully we receive the money.
Mhm.
I'll turn it over to Jessica over numbers because I know Commissioner Chain numbers are important. And so if you have
Money numbers, but also I have questions about, how we evaluate the effectiveness of this medical approach as well.
Yeah, so I'll end it with that. Like I said, we're asking. So your question is how do we identify individuals or effectiveness of it?
But
Yeah, a tool.
yeah, I mean, I've heard great things about medical assisted treatment, but I don't have a good sense of the metrics that people are using or the methods that they're using to, to make those arguments that this is an effective and successful strategy. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about kind of if there's, nationally there's, research on this, and B, whether we're doing things to kind of measure the effectiveness or the performance of this approach in our jail.
Yeah, and I don't have those numbers with me, but I think that's something we should look through. As a jail manager, I'm looking for individuals that are coming in and they're unstable, they're withdrawing severely, they're sick. We can get them started after we get into a point to get them better in the jail because, the number one thing, what keeps me up at night is really suicide attempts, death in custody. And then also remember when people get released in the parking lot, I'm out there with them. I'm concerned about them because many of them have nowhere to go. So they go right back into the system that they came from. We got to redirect them from that place. So from my point of view, I see the jail. We're seeing less of those incidents in our custody. People that will come in, they'll immediately ask for it. And Eden probably can talk more about the individuals who are coming through. I think there could be some more data on, are they staying up with it? And that's certain our providers, Ideal Option, Best Care, Mosaic, St. Charles Hospital. Those are the folks that are probably seeing some of those type of numbers on who's getting out of it and who's not. One of the biggest issues are drugs in our community. They're being offered everywhere. And we do everything we can to stop that. But when they're on it, how do we say there's a plan? Let's get you safe with medicated assisted treatment. So at least you can start thinking rationally. Ultimately, it's their decision whether they use it or not. But if we have a caring world, a caring jail that wants to see them different, sometimes that's all that takes. For the jail purpose, we're seeing a calmer area. We're not seeing the revolving door numbers, but we can also talk about, and I don't have those numbers here, what is our major charge coming? Some places it's violation of public transit. I think you're going to see in our area, it's going to be drug charges still is the number one. How do we get that to a very low percentage? And I'd love to run those numbers eventually.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I hear great things about medically assisted treatment, and hearing your firsthand experience, just seeing people, exit the jail in a better place, in a more resilient place, essentially to relapse, it's really good to hear. I do think both for us to continue to be competitive for funding, and for us to be able to advocate for the funding sources that support this kind of work, the more proof we have, the better. The more proof that we can show that this is an effective strategy here or elsewhere, the better we'll be able to advocate for for us to be funded, or for funding sources to support this kind of work to exist. So that's where this comes from, or that's where my question comes from.
Yeah, I agree with you, and now my mind's kind of working how to do that. So
Great.
we have some work to do on that. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, and some kinds of monitoring, and evaluation are really complicated and expensive. I mean, for you to track somebody, post-release for months and months and months, I mean, that could be a very, very costly evaluation method. So I mean, that I guess I'd encourage you to both try to figure out how to measure, but also keep it as simple and cost effective as you can. And that's especially true. Like if there's if there's national level research that says somebody of people who've been through this kind of treatment, the odds of relapse are this much lower than just reporting, we've put this many people through this line of treatment, and we know nationally that, this dramatically reduces the likelihood of relapse. That's good enough, I think.
And I think those numbers are out there, but I do think it'd be nice to know what we're doing specifically, because every program's a little different. If you remember, jails were not built for this population. It's changed. We are built for security, and now we're built to manage this population we are not used to. And my goal is to see a new jail system, trauma-informed care. I think we'll do a better job of supporting our community doing that. But that's a different topic and requires a lot of people to be invested in it. So, but right now I'm thinking behavioral health. We have a great behavioral health team we can start working with, because they track people and we share the same clients. So good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please.
So in my research,
Most.
a while ago was that they needed to have 6 months of those in medical help to actually then they could carry forward for like 36 months. I don't know if the research has changed that, but how to have somebody, and I know Ideal Option is in Bend. Do they still have one in Redmond too? A facility?
No, they don't.
Well,
No, they don't?
they service people. I don't know if their service is not in Redmond at this point.
Not at this time. And
Okay,
they're still seeing patients from Redmond. Yes.
okay, they are seeing patients, but here.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
And Commissioner Chang, I can kind of speak towards, working with Ideal Option, they do have some metrics that they share with us monthly about patients. So when we talk about patients that are starting on a MAP program, like for example, our MAP program in the community, we talk about that as being induction. So they're being induced onto a MAP program. We do track numbers when it comes to the number of inductions we are doing per month, and the percentage of patients we are seeing outside in the community that are then going back to their providers for follow-up based on the medication that they're on. So for example, oral Suboxone or buprenorphine compared to Sublocade, compared to another injectable called Brixadi. And so we do get monthly numbers regarding the number of inductions we've done in the month, the percentage of patients that have then followed up after their release from jail. And I can certainly get you that information.
And there's national level research to support, the use of these particular prescriptions.
Absolutely. But our numbers are more to look at how are we doing in terms of our program? What is our success rate in terms of our medications that we're using? Which ones seem to be more successful than others? Where are we seeing barriers? Where are we seeing maybe challenges in patient follow-up, patients that could be falling through the cracks, and why? Those kinds of numbers is what we look at.
Great. Thank you.
Great. So this is a request to the Criminal Justice Commission in Oregon for this amount of money. Is there a large pot of money that's kind of being proposed to be split around the state for different jurisdictions?
Yes, there's approximately $10 million that they did a formula and they.
So this is the amount that we should apply for is kind of the concept. Good. Yep.
Down to the last penny, I see.
Yeah. 88 cents.
Good.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I did want to ask, how many jails across Oregon, or what percentage are doing MAT? I mean, are we on the leading edge? Kind of the bold, kind of advanced guard, or is everybody doing this, or?
Well, 2 years ago when this came through, and, we work with the Oregon Sheriff's Association, all the jails wanted to commit to this. Of course, I know there's more than 50% that are already doing MAT, and much of it has come from this grant that they've been applying for and to start their program. Some of the smaller rural communities have a tough time getting program officials to do it. They're not even operating under full 24-hour medical in some of the smaller areas.
Right.
So they're the ones struggling, and they've been trying to assist with that population. But I meet with the jail managers regularly throughout the year in different formats, and everybody's striving to get to this level. And when it first came, Marion County and us took this one grant to bring ideal options into our jail. Some others had a bigger county medical team that they came in and provided it. And some counties use private organizations in medical. And then what they do is they get the county gets the money, gives it to their private agency that runs their medical, and then they do the medicated assistant in their treatment. So a lot of different ways to do it. Like I said, we're kind of unique with Marion County is that we've asked Ideal Option to take the lead on this grant, and we'll open the door to them. I always like the jail opening the door to the outside to come in. We've talked about that. This money is earmarked specifically for the jails, and we're going to use this resource to bridge the gap of funding as we're continuing. We're seeing more people wanting to get them over.
Yeah.
Apparently in our jail system in the prison system in Deer Ridge, it was mandated they were using pills for a while, and the complications from using pills, even though they cost a lot less, the oversight was just terribly inefficient, wasn't working. And, we're so fortunate that what we're trying to do here in our jail really makes complete sense. Over 60% of the people in Deer Ridge, actually, I was told by the superintendent, have mental illness issues. She didn't give a number for substance use, but I can only imagine it's up there, just like our jail was 92%, right? Yes.
Well, kind of having, with being in the jail, and I saw, when I first started, they estimated 10%, it went to 20%. And then as I worked through law enforcement, I saw the numbers going up. I just saw it, knew it. Then I looked under the federal studies, all said 75%. And I go, the numbers are higher. And that's kind of did our own study. And we've done it twice, and we'll continue doing that just on a day, it'll be in April 6th.
Is that your day?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a
I think
day.
it was in May.
May.
Oh, May 6th.
Jessica does those.
Okay. So you do that annually then? That's really great, because remember the first time I said it at the AOC meeting, I said 80%, and people were like, no way. And I go like, oh, I think there is a way. And then you did your survey. So thank you for that.
Was there a motion?
So move to authorize an application for an Oregon Criminal Justice Commission jail-based medications for opioid use disorder grant in the amount of $238,057.88.
Second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Dare?
Yes.
Commissioner Chang?
Yes.
And Chair will vote yes. Great discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank you for your continued efforts to bring effective behavioral health strategies and services, to our jail. The vision, I very much support Captain Schultz's vision that, a trauma-based care model better suits, the current moment that we're in and the people that we're seeing in the jail. As you know, Captain Schultz, I'm very committed to, trying to help make that happen before you retire.
I appreciate it. And
Yes.
I'll tell you, the teammates that we've hired at the sheriff's office to work the jail, they are very compassionate people that have grown up in Central Oregon. And many of them, they've known these people throughout their years.
Mm.
They want nothing but the best for them. And that's our goal.
And you're not retiring, so don't. Bad idea. We need you.
Item number 11, amendment to City of Sisters ARPA grant agreement.
Good morning, Commissioners. Laura Skundrick, Management Analyst. So in January of 2023, the Board of Commissioners allocated $500,000 to the City of Sisters for an affordable housing project for the development of 40 units of multifamily rental housing. The city has been working on this project with their development partner, Northwest Housing Alternatives. They have recently identified a new date of occupancy due to some funding delays. That date, I believe, is March of 2027. So our staff is recommending an amendment to the grant agreement. The amendment would change the language around the project completion date. So instead of a project completion date of December 31st, 2026, we would now list a date required to fully expend the ARPA funds by November 30th, 2026. This new date would provide our staff a 1-month buffer to ensure the funds have been spent or to identify how they can be spent prior to the Treasury's expenditure deadline of December 31st, 2026.
Laura, the
Yes.
document actually has November 31st on it.
Thank you. That was caught by Brenda.
Okay, great, Brenda.
Thank you.
I'm like, oh my gosh, there's not 30 days in that month.
Good catch. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brenda.
So these changes are reflected in the proposed amendment with that one update in your materials today. And we also have the City of Sisters here with us if you have any additional questions.
So is the concept that we're not sure what's going to happen and we want to make sure we're backing this up so we don't.
Given originally with the project completion date of being the same date as the Treasury's expenditure deadline, those both kind of work together. But given that the project completion date is moving out, we want to, just ensure that the funds are
It's
spent.
kind of a requirement to review so it doesn't expire.
Exactly.
Was there a nod with that? There we go.
Yeah, I don't have any questions
Yep.
about that.
Okay, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Yeah. I know it's going to happen. That's the good news. And I think they've hired a Northwest Housing Alternatives seem to be incredibly engaged in it. So looking forward to the project being finished.
Does anybody want to speak on the subject? You're here at our meeting. Oh, here we go. Here we got to
The
take.
drive.
Clayton Crowhurst, Northwest Housing Alternatives, and just want to appreciate y'all's continued support as well as the City of Sisters. The funding that we're actually using for this project, 501c3 nonprofit bonds, this will be kind of a first of its kind for this type of project, the income mix and that funding type. And it's been, as y'all can imagine, with the economy and the bond market, that's been an interesting world to navigate. And so that's what spurred the delays here. We're targeting a before Thanksgiving closing date, though, so that we can move the project along. Commissioner Adair, your words of get this thing built are literally in my head every day as I'm working through this. And I think once we get underway, closed, in construction, one, you'll be getting invites to our groundbreaking, but two, I think that we'll be seeing a lot of other affordable housing developers, nonprofits, housing authorities very interested in this funding model, and then also this project model for meeting middle income and workforce families. So again, just want to say I really appreciate the continued support here.
Great.
And well, what do you anticipate as a certificate of occupancy date at this point?
That shooting for March of 27, that's a 15-month construction duration. I think we've added, along with our general contractor, CS Construction, added in some buffer into that 15 months. So if we've got a rough winter, that accounts for that. If we've got, some weather on our side, maybe a little sooner than that. Agree.
Is there a motion?
Move approval of document number 2025-953, an amendment to the ARPA grant provided to the City of Sisters for multifamily rental housing to revise the project performance language.
Second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes.
Thanks, Clayton.
Much.
so
Thank you
much.
for joining us. Item number 12, consideration of ordinance for farm and forest housekeeping amendments.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Nicole Mardell, Senior Planner, Deschutes County CDD. Today I'm here to present Ordinance 2025-016 for consideration by the Board. This ordinance would adopt housekeeping amendments related to the state's farm and forest modernization rulemaking process. The Planning Commission held a hearing on this item and voted unanimously to approve the package. The Board held a public hearing on September 10th. At that time, there was a request to keep the record open for 1 week to address a concern that maybe the verbiage wasn't so clear from a public commenter, specifically in regard to 1640A, which is application of the farm impacts test to non-farm dwellings. So we worked with the commenter to kind of clarify that language, the translation of the rule into our code and how it was worded. So that's been cleaned up. And then we also cleaned up the reference in the definition for farm use, just for clarity as well. So that's all been updated in the draft ordinance that's in your packet today. No additional comments were received outside of that during the open record period. And we're recommending that the board adopt this under the standard 90-day adoption period. If approved, we would return in 2 weeks for second reading.
So proposed for a first reading. Any other discussion or a motion?
Do I get to make?
I'm going to see if Commissioner Chang is going to be able to make a motion today.
Okay. Move approval of first reading of ordinance number 2025-016 by title only.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, calling for the vote, Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes. So this is first reading of ordinance 2025-016, an ordinance amending the Deschutes County Code Title 18, zoning ordinance relating to farm and forest modernization rulemaking. The second reading will be in 2 weeks or so.
Yes, I'll return in 2 weeks. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Great. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nicole.
Thanks for the package. This time, item number 13, consideration of ordinance for amendment and plan amendment and zone change. Mackenzie Meadow Village.
Good morning. For the record, Jacob Ripper, Principal Planner at CDD. As you know, this is Senior Planner Howie King's project, but she's feeling under the weather, so I'm filling in today. So the board today will consider ordinance number 2025-015 regarding a comprehensive plan amendment to change the designation of approximately 58 acres adjacent to the City of Sisters from forest to rural residential exception area, and a zoning map amendment to rezone the subject properties from forest use 2 to multiple use agricultural. It also includes a request for a goal 4 exception. And then just for some background for anyone here watching online, the board held continued deliberations on September 17th, 2025, where they considered 2 versions of a draft board decision. One version had specific conditions of approval related to riparian, wildlife, and scenic corridor protections, and the other version did not include these conditions. The board unanimously voted to approve the second version of the decision document, which included those two conditions. Staff is now returning with the final version of that decision along with the full ordinance. So today, if the board decides not to adopt the ordinance by emergency, staff will return in at least 14 days from today. And if adopted by emergency, first and second reading will occur today, and the ordinance would become effective immediately. So with that, I will turn it back to the board for a discussion and a possible motion.
As I say, we did, get through a process of figuring out which way we're going to go on this previously. Is there any other thoughts or discussion? This is up for us to make these decisions at this point.
Well, when we just heard that the project in Sisters, we funded it in 2023, and I think, what is it, 27, maybe it's going to be done. Anyhow, just to give the message that we're saving you 104 days on this project. Hopefully, I know the City of Sisters is reevaluating with the meeting, and then I think November 8th or something, right in the 1st of November. So, yeah,
So you're
I
supportive
think,
of emergency.
yeah, I think emergency is, because look at all those other things that we've done. We've got to tell them this is an emergency.
Oh, and yeah. Commissioner Chang.
Yeah, I mean, just to put a little context and history around this, we do see rezone applications on occasionally that are primarily geared towards having a property considered for UGB expansion. You know, those properties that are right on the edge of, the city of Bend, for example. They know that having that zoning, MUA 10 or RR 10, is better than being EFU or forest zoned for consideration for inclusion in the UGB. So I view this application in that light. If this was an application to rezone the property to allow only one house per 10 acres in that location, I probably wouldn't be supportive, but I do think it's worth evaluating this property for inclusion in the UGB. And with the addition of these, of these two conditions to protect the forest values, that exist within that property, it's a very important riparian zone, and also, opportunities for habitat connectivity for forested areas surrounding the property. I'm supportive of the goal for exception, and think that we can proceed forward. I would also support an emergency decision and moving moving essentially the effective date of this approval forward 104 days.
But I can come to the same conclusion. There has been a clear commitment for that urban growth expansion, a long history and a partnership. And it does seem like it's just a natural extension of that part of the community, highway, other development there. And this is, and the school districts, open space. So with the circumstances as they are, I do support the emergency clause also. So with that, it looks like a motion.
So, Kim, these possible motions here would the option B be, would we do these both at the same time, or one and then next? Okay. I'll move approval of first and second reading of ordinance number 2025-015 by title only.
I'll second the motion.
Want to refer to emergency? Well, so, and it'll
do it
declare an
second.
emergency in the,
Yeah, the second motion will address the.
Yes.
yep, got it. Okay, so this is move approval for first and second reading. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes. So this is a first reading of ordinance number 2025-015, an ordinance amending Deschutes County Code Title 23 to adopt an exception to Goal 4 and to change the comprehensive plan map designation for certain property from forest to rural residential exception area, and amending Deschutes County Code Title 18, the Deschutes County Code zoning map, to change the zone designation for certain property from forest use 2 to multiple use agriculture and declaring an emergency. This is second reading, ordinance number 2025-015, an ordinance amending Deschutes County Code Title 23 to adopt an exception to Goal 4 and to change the comprehensive plan map designation for certain property from forest to rural residential exception area, and amending Deschutes County Code Title 18, the Deschutes County zoning map, to change the zone designation for certain property from forest use 2 to multiple use agriculture and declaring an emergency.
Okay, ready for the next motion?
Okay, move adoption of ordinance number 2025-15 by emergency to take effect immediately.
Second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
and Chair will vote yes. Okay,
Thank you.
So we just saved them 104 days.
so, well, and this is in support of discussions for the city council. I don't know if there's any procedural issue with that. I guess, can you help us with that? This is applicant wanting to,
Yeah, I mean,
I do also have, before Will and Jacob leave, I had questions about now that we've made that decision, close that item. I did want to ask about the Sisters UGB process. So I wanted to talk more about this. So
I don't see an issue. I mean, deliberations have concluded and you've made a decision.
well, very good. Yeah, so please join us. This is applicant just acknowledging,
Appreciate it.
and we all, go ahead.
I want to thank the three of you for our families and for our community. And I want to commit, and on the record, we're going to deliver 36 lots to Habitat. We're going to deliver 12 units to mothers with developmentally disabled children in our community. And we're working with our school district not only to deliver teacher housing, but to work with Hayden to deliver an apprenticeship program so that seniors in the high school can learn trades. And I wanted to give you that as our commitment, the Kahlberg family, the Willits family, and the Reed family, that this is what we will do in our community. And I thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill.
Did he need to identify himself?
Oh, yeah, yeah, maybe.
Would you mind
Introduction for the
identifying yourself
record.
for the record? Forgot.
Yeah, I'm William Willits, and I am managing partner of Mackenzie Meadow Village.
Great. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
Thank you so much for the vision for your community.
Thank you.
It's really appreciated.
And yeah, if I could ask CDD just to give us a sense of, again, we were not making a decision about the UGB, but there's connection between these two issues, and I would just love to hear what the most recent action at the City of Sisters is on consideration of this particular property.
Thank you, Commissioners. For the record, Will Groves, your planning manager. I'm working from some emails that may be a little bit out of date. I'm wondering if we might ask the applicant to come back up, who is probably well aware of what the council is, to make sure that I'm not out of sync. But I'll speak to the part that I know, and if there's corrections, maybe we can invite the applicant to come back up and speak to this. So City of Sisters, of course, is looking to identify what lands to consider in its possible UGB amendment. I know that there had been some significant discussion about effectively whether to wait for this property or not for that process. And I don't know that that matter has been resolved at this time. Certainly there were opponents to this process. An appeal to LUBA would not be surprising. That would set a significant timeline in motion. At the same time, I know that this was an important option that the city wanted to consider. And so I think what we'll see here is, I anticipate what we'll see is an initial period while the city waits to see if an appeal is filed, and then a decision point there. If an appeal is filed, certainly that's going to mean months, if not years, to final actionable usable UGB land as an option here. So that's where it was left when I had picked up this discussion last, but I've been out for 2 days, so things are moving quickly. Anything to add to that?
Will, according to my text message from Sisters Leadership, the workshop for the UGB decision is on 10/22, and then their decision will be on 11/5. So just to clarify those dates, it is 11/5.
That and Nicole Mardell, who's our liaison to that process, confirmed that.
Okay, one more question tying our decision and the UGB process together. So we adopted this decision by emergency. How long is the appeal window for such a decision?
It continues to be the regular 21 days. I see nods.
21 days. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Seeing none, I think we're set here. Okay.
Can I just say
please.
something about the IDD? To know that
Mm.
12 homes will be set up for IDD moms, that's really, it's a wonderful decision that you all have made to help your community. Truly, you see the need, and that's outstanding. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, moving forward, making decisions today. Are you here for the next one too? Okay, there we go. At this time, item 14, board letter of support for DLCD technical assistance grant.
Again, planning manager, thank you, board. I've got here for you today a Community Development Department request to the Board of County Commissioners to submit a Oregon Department of Land Use Conservation and Development DLCD technical assistance grant. And this is for support for the Terrebonne Community Plan update. This has a letter of support from the board drafted included, and this is consistent with Administrative Policy GA20. This grant application is due by October 10th. If awarded, the grant duration is expected to be from approximately January 2026 to June 2027. And this is, we're asking for the amount of $100,000 to support this. We expect that the overall project will cost approximately $150,000 in resources and staff time. DLCD makes these grants available on an annual basis for just these sorts of reasons, to support economic development and orderly development in communities. And when we looked at the alignment with the grant dollars in this project, tremendous alignment. And I think we're going to be very well positioned to get this. These funds will allow us to engage in both enhanced community outreach as well as support the efforts we intended to make regardless.
But I think it's a moment for the community to come together again, and with the new transportation investments and utilities, sewer, just take a big picture look. And as we have already acknowledged, not everybody's going to be on the same page, but just take a look at the big picture as a community. So I'd be supportive of this letter.
Well, I'm glad you said enhanced community outreach, because one of the first things that came to mind as I was reading this staff memo was we just had that extensive conversation in our joint meeting with the Planning Commission about how challenging some of the community dynamics in Terrebonne could potentially be, given our history of experience on the Highway 97 project. So, can you talk a little bit about kind of what that looks like, enhanced community outreach?
Certainly. So, of course, there's always the high school gym event with the stickers and the poster boards. But in the Tumalo community plan update, we offered things like by appointment. So we had a website where you could make an appointment to talk to a planner at your convenience. We also had we posted up in a coffee shop in Tumalo, and we're available by appointment. And so we'd like to make similar efforts, including robust web and internet outreaches and communications, and if where appropriate, mailings to the community. Those things can be expensive as you try to reach an entire community. So there hasn't been a specific outreach designed yet, but this would definitely support things that like mailings that we would normally be more hesitant to to expend significant resources on.
Great, thank you.
And this is a year and a half effort.
That's correct.
And then is our match the in-kind, is that with employees' time?
Yes, that will be all. That'll be mostly Tanya Salzman staff time, but of course, just like the Tumalo Community Plan, we get the whole gang out. You know, there's a variety of
know.
expertises that will be represented.
Okay, great.
Was there a motion of support for this letter?
I'll move approval of a letter supporting the submittal of an application for a DLCD technical assistance grant for the Terrebonne Community Plan.
I'll second the motion.
And
Is this a competitive grant application or?
It is, and but when I was looking through the grant, what causes you to get this grant? We check lots of boxes, so
Excellent.
optimistic.
Okay,
Okay.
check the boxes. All right.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare.
Yes.
And Chair will vote yes.
Your board.
Thank you.
Oh, well, Tanya's got another project.
We keep busy.
Thank you. Thanks, Will.
This time, other items. Is there anything, Nick, that you have? Anything else from the commissioners?
We did actually, we were at the visitors meeting last night at Tetherow, and we're watching to see what happens with room tax revenue. According to Doug, who responded to my text messaging, he seems to feel that something is going to come back. And our group is actually evaluating what's happening out there because room tax, lodging tax revenue is so important to our community. And we do have, 3 different means of receiving those funds, different tax structures. So we're bringing it back in December, but we want to stay on top of whatever's going to be in the state for that very short session.
That was the board meeting of the Visitors Association.
Right.
Visit Central Oregon. And then there's a little reception last night for the marketing company that Commissioner Chang and I ended up just crossing paths last night also. But a lot of camaraderie, City of Bend's DMO and Visit Central Oregon. So folks talking about this. But yeah, taking that position as Visit Central Oregon opposing something that might, like the previous version of this that was in the longer session. And you're acknowledging that something might pop up again.
Doug thinks it will, 3492, I believe, House Bill 3492. Anyway, he thinks that something like that is going to come again. So, yes,
And it's interesting.
3962 is what he's referring to. So that's what he thinks it'll be likely. It goes up, it's a 60-40.
Yeah. Scott, the director of Visit Central Oregon, and I chatted for a couple minutes last night, and it sounds like it would be good for they have an interest in having a sort of tourism industry leaders, local elected officials gathering to hash out what we think would be an acceptable way to proceed with the TLT legislation. In my impression, or it's my impression that a lot of the bills that came forward last year were driven by were driven by coastal communities, and weren't necessarily going to be an appropriate one size fits all for us. With our particular history with TLT and our kind of the proportion of our local economy that tourism makes up here in comparison to some of those coastal communities. So, Scott was suggesting that we could come up with a legislative approach that would work for us, and put that forward in Salem as this discussion evolves, instead of passively waiting for whatever the coastal communities figure out and reacting to that. And I really like that idea. I think you take that kind of proactive attitude to its full expression, and you know, I could see us having our own bill that we throw into the, you know, a Central Oregon bill carried by the Central Oregon Caucus, put into the mix, you know, early in the process so that it helps drive the discussion again, instead of us being reactive to things that are coming out of other regions of the state. So I'd like to encourage us to work with Visit Central Oregon and, you know, other destination management organizations to have that legislative discussion sooner than later, so that we actually could, again, help to drive the legislative discussion instead of just kind of being the, following the train.
Yeah, well, so, and that's kind of what's happening for our legislative efforts, you know, the Central Oregon Caucus. And then on this topic specifically, City of Bend is a big player. Deschutes County Visit Central Oregon Regional Destination Marketing is a big player, obviously, but then our small communities are also part of that mix. So yeah, there'll be a moment for taking a position.
Yeah, thank you. I participated in the discussion more as a technical and providing clarity on a number of issues. And I had just shared that when the board met last week to talk about legislative priorities, passing TLT reform was not identified as a board priority for the legislative session. That's not to say that the board wouldn't take a role or anything of that nature, but just it hadn't been identified as a priority.
I raised it when Doug was here. I mentioned it as something that we should be tracking.
We're tracking, right? I didn't in terms. Yeah, and so I just tried to clarify based on the policy proposal that they had framed, that we were going to take an aggressive approach to support it and pass it, and there were going to be significant impacts. I read from the board's letter to the legislature on House Bill 3556 that supported that bill under certain provisions. But my point was really the collaborative approach that we aim to take with Visit Central Oregon, DMOs, with all of our regional partners on a path forward. And then I clarified that was a misstatement, was that we and AOC supported House Bill 2977, which was the state's bill to increase the state's TLT. And I said that we hadn't taken a position on that. And I confirmed that with AOC. I confirmed that with Jen Patterson. I provide some clarity on the record, and the meeting concluded with really pursuing a collaborative approach that we're discussing today, which is, and I sat next to Alana, and we chatted about it as well, and completely agree that the history of addressing TLT in Deschutes County has been collaborative, and that's what we're both committed to going forward. Of course, I said I can't commit that entirely on behalf of the board, but I believe I was speaking on our collective behalf, is that we want to aim for a collaborative approach going forward.
Great. And Nick, was Sherry Helt around the table?
Yes.
Discussion, because I mean, I know that she has been showing up very strongly wearing an Orla hat in these discussions, and you know, also with a history of being a state legislator. You know, she'd if we can figure out something that works, that she can, you know, help us to push along, I think that would be really helpful.
She participated significantly in the discussion and was very, very supportive of the collaborative approach as well, which was welcome.
So we definitely need to get ahead of this. And it's now October 1st today, right?
It is the first.
Yeah. So we need to get ahead of this, and yeah, we need to before the coast does something. Yes. So that would be a good plan, Brenda. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
I mean, if I could just say one more thing about this, I think it's important to us, if we are considering additional increments of TLT. I mean, if we would just want what we've got to stay the same, then, you know, then it's not necessarily urgent for us to be involved in these discussions, as long as people don't, you know, screw up what we've already got. So that's one, you know, I think that's one consideration on how much, you know, political capital we expend on this issue.
Yeah. So our position last time was for future increments, But yeah, we weren't talking about future increments. That was just kind of setting the stage if it ever comes around is my mindset on that. So that'll be the starting point that we'll go with, is to say, we do need to keep an eye on, if there's some big, strong bill that comes out of the coast and, Portland Metro decides it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, we might need to get real engaged real fast. If we're not aligned with it. But it'll come real soon.
Yes.
Anything else for this meeting?
I will mention Sherry Held did show that Oregon doesn't have a, what did she say? We have a spending problem. The budget for, has gone up $53 billion in, I believe, 5 years. So that was a number from Sherry, 53 billion in 5 years. So everyone was pretty worried about, yes, the direction and what we're doing. So it was a good meeting.
Okay. Seeing nothing else, meeting adjourned.